thanks to Mailjet for sponsoring this video. So before we get into this video, please subscribe to my newsletter if you haven't already. I send it out once a month, sharing sort of cool experiences and stories and sharing links to interesting things. So yeah, make sure to subscribe and check it out. So it seems pretty certain that a recession is coming. If not, it's already here. So the BBC actually shared an article that indicates that the UK economy specifically has shrank by 0.2%. And if this continues until the end of the year, the UK will officially be in recession. And the recession could last the whole of 2023 and part of 2024. So we could be in for quite a bleak year in the next year. I'm already seeing a few signs of recession myself. I've had actually a couple of the sponsors pull out of random videos just out of nowhere. They're like, hey, sorry, we don't have any budget for this. And it's not only me. Some of my other sort of YouTuber friends, other people who work in the industry, they've also noticed that some companies and some brands are pulling back spending. They've realized customers aren't spending money on their own products, so they don't really have the budget to spend on advertising and things like that. So yeah, I'm seeing signs of it, but I'm very fortunate in the position that I'm in because I can quite easily find another sponsor. Like, there are a lot of sponsors out there. There's more sponsors than there is content, really. So I'm in a pretty fortunate position, but I can definitely see that some companies are being affected. And recession for them has pretty much already started. I think what's just as wild is that this doesn't happen really. Like, I can count on my hand the number of times I've had sponsors pull out because they didn't have the money. So it's very, very rare for this to happen, and it's definitely a sign that a recession is coming. Now, being in a recession is of course scary for a lot of people, mainly because of people who are bound to lose their jobs. So there are so many articles, so many tweets that I already see of people losing their jobs, of companies making big layoffs. It's just a natural part of the process. Unfortunately, people are going to lose their jobs. The value of your assets are also going to go down. So if you have money in property, if you have money in stocks and shares, any other sort of assets, cars, watches, artwork, all of this, it's just naturally going to go down. The value of that is going to go down. But there are a couple of opportunities when it comes to a recession. There are a couple of ways to make money, take advantage of it. And if you do things right, you might not even feel the recession at all. It might not impact you whatsoever. And if it doesn't, then you've done something right. Now, the first two things I'm going to mention aren't necessarily opportunities, aren't necessarily ways to make money during the recession, but I think there are things you need to have in place if you're going to get through a recession, if it's not going to impact you drastically, if you're going to be fine throughout it. These are definitely two things you have to think about. But before we get into that, I wanted to thank Mailjet for sponsoring this video. Mailjet is an easy to use email marketing platform for designing, sending and monitoring marketing campaigns, newsletters and automated emails. You can create and send beautiful emails without having to touch a single line of code. Mailjet's email editor makes it easy to create engaging email campaigns, newsletters and automated emails in minutes. You can leverage an array of beautiful pre-designed templates so you have more time to focus on growing your business. They also have real-time collaboration, which can help you increase your workflow efficiency by collaborating in real time. You can streamline the email creation process, accelerate decision making and get your emails out faster with Mailjet's innovative collaboration features designed for teams. With Mailjet's segmentation feature, you can send targeted messages based on each customer's interests, attributes and behaviors. You can streamline your email workflows so you can engage with new and existing customers at the right time with the right message. You can automate emails so they arrive in the inboxes as the recipients hit important milestones in their customer journey. Statistics, you can get actionable insights to create your most engaging email campaigns. Track the performance of your email marketing campaigns in real time. Learn about your customers' behavior so you can optimize your strategy and increase your conversion rates. Thanks to Mailjet for sponsoring this video. Make sure to use my link and you can try Mailjet for free. A secure job or a valuable job. So the most important thing when going through a recession is that you have to have a job that is secure or that's just considered valuable. Because if you lose your job, you lose your income, that is going to be very, very tough through a recession because companies aren't really going to be hiring anyway. So you've got to make sure that you have a job that is quite secure, that is considered maybe valuable to the company, so that you're not laid off. Being able to continue paying your mortgage, your rent, your bills, whatever it is you need to pay to get by, being able to save money, well, hopefully you're saving money, and just live comfortably through a recession, you're winning. Like, you're going to be ahead of most people as it is anyway, and that is the best way to not have a recession impact you at all. Having a 6 to 12 month emergency fund is also very, very important. Like, I can't stress that enough. That was actually one of the first things I did once I started making money. Once I had my own place, I knew that I needed to have an emergency fund because, you know, worst case scenario, maybe you are laid off, maybe things just don't go right, maybe you have to start going into your savings. That's why you have an emergency fund. This is the whole point of it, because you could be out of a job for 3, 6, 12 months maybe. Having that emergency fund will be an absolute lifesaver. It's crazy to me how many people that I know personally who earn good money, who have a good job, yet they still live paycheck to paycheck. They spend all of their money on getting the most expensive place that they can, on designer gear, on car payments and stuff like that. And I just think to myself, like, you don't even have an emergency fund. Like, what is going on here? This is absolutely crazy to me. These people earn good money. They're not someone who's earning 10,000, 20,000 and sort of struggling to get by. They're people who are earning 50, 60, 100,000 and they're still living paycheck to paycheck. Just absolutely wild to me. I don't know why you wouldn't put that money towards your emergency fund. Next up, we have selling your own services. So if you have a valuable skill, maybe something that you've learned on a previous job, maybe you've learned it on your current job, or maybe it's just something that you've learned in your free time, I think now is probably one of the best times to be able to sell that skill, to market that skill to people who need it, and just make some extra money if you can. Even with the recession going on, it doesn't mean that companies and wealthy people aren't spending their money. They still want to pay for services. They still want to pay for things that will help run their businesses, because at the end of the day, that's what businesses and wealthy people pay for. They pay for things that help them save time and help them achieve things that they otherwise wouldn't be able to achieve. That's where you need to be making money. That's the sort of sliver where most people actually make money. That's the whole point. That's the whole point employees exist, right? So that you can do stuff for a manager, for a business or whatever, and save them time, save them resources, get something done. That's the whole point. If you have valuable skill that you can sell, you can make money there. I think the most important thing that I've learned from speaking to other wealthy people and just myself sort of just making money is that anything that I can do where I can spend money to make my life easier or save me time is going to be worth the money. It's going to be worth the investment for me. That's the way I like to see it. That's the way I like to think. And that's the way businesses and other wealthy people think. I've created a few videos on how to make money online. Check those out if you haven't already. But I've listed here some of my favorites, which I think are in demand right now. So these are just like 3, 4 that I've come up with randomly, just whilst I was sort of scripting this video. So marketing and sales. Any form of marketing and sales, I think, is super, super valuable. A lot of people naturally focus on building stuff, making stuff, but what's the point of building stuff, making stuff, creating a business if you don't know how to sell or market it? Marketing and sales skills are also just very universal. Every business needs marketing, every business needs sales. I do marketing and sales myself for my own stuff, YouTube videos, products and stuff like that. These roles, I feel like, usually, as long as you're good at it, usually are the least likely to be laid off, because a business doesn't want to be laying off their sales and their marketing team. Like that's literally, those are the people that make the money. Why would they want to lay them off? So if you can learn marketing or sales in any industry and you can prove that you can market and you can sell, yeah, you can charge good money for it. There are agencies out there where all they do is marketing and sales and they make millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. I personally invest a lot of time into social media marketing and email marketing. And obviously it makes sense, right? Like, I have an email newsletter. I have social media. I upload videos to YouTube. I upload stuff on Instagram. I upload stuff on Twitter, TikTok, places like that. Mainly because it's cheap and free. Like, it's just the easiest way to get into marketing without having to spend a ton of money. Well, without having to spend any money, really. You've just got to use what you have already. And I feel like that's what makes the most sense. Email marketing, again, is so cheap. And I think email marketing is actually the most powerful. I sent out an email over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, just an offer. And I made over $20,000 just from 2 emails. 2 emails. To me, that is just absolutely wild, because sending that email cost me $2. $2 to send that email, and I made 20,000. Now, of course, that sounds very easy. It's not. Like, obviously, I've had to build up the email list, I've had to build up the client list, I've had to build the customer list. That's taken a few years. But that's the whole point with social media marketing and email marketing. You build up the skills, you build up the knowledge, you build up the base, and then over time, as it keeps growing, as you keep providing more value, as you keep providing good quality products and stuff, the money will just come in naturally. Second is professional video services. So many companies have realized that they need to invest in video, that they need to have videos of their products and services, whatever it is they're selling, and then use that video on social media or on their website. I actually have a friend who does exactly this. His name is Josh. He runs basically this own little one-man agency of his, where all he does is shoot videos for companies. And he's making over 10,000 a month just from doing that. And he gets to travel the world whilst doing it as well. Currently, he's in Tokyo working for a company. And that's just crazy. Well, I say crazy, it's just not crazy, but it's just impressive. Like, he's just done this and he's marketed himself And yeah, he has multiple clients and he makes good money from it. Professional video services, the demand for professional video services has really shot through the roof, because obviously video is just everywhere right now. It's more accessible than ever. More people, I guess, are looking at video than they are looking at pictures. Just look at like the rise of Instagram Reels and YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that. That's where I feel like the money is. That's where a lot of businesses are willing to spend money. Third is video editing. Now this does go alongside video services, professional video services, but I also feel like it's very separate from actually shooting videos, because editing video is very different from shooting videos. Good video editors are high in demand right now. I'm actually looking for video editors and videographers myself. And again, it goes back to businesses needing these sorts of services. You know, they have someone shoot the video. Usually that person does edit the video for them, but at some point they're going to need a professional editor who's sort of making and chopping and cutting videos together continuously from the same sort of resource of content, same catalog of content, making multiple cuts of it. That's where an editor comes into play. And yeah, there are so many businesses out there who are looking for editors. I have 2 editors myself right now, editing TikTok, Instagram content and stuff like that, because I don't have time. I don't have time to cut that content. So I've hired other people to do that for me. Number 4 is learning no-code tools like Webflow or Framer. So these 2 services are an amazing way to build websites right now. Framer is definitely my favorite. I used to like Webflow, but I'm definitely leaning towards Framer now, and I'm actually going to have a video on Framer coming soon, how I plan to make money from Framer. But a lot of these businesses are using these services right now, and they are looking to hire people who can make their website in these services or maintain their current website, which is in these services. They're also fairly easy to learn. I personally think so anyway, because I've learned to code HTML, CSS, not JavaScript. And I feel like the learning curve for HTML, CSS and making a website from scratch is just much steeper than learning something like Framer or Webflow, mainly because Framer and Webflow are a lot more visual. You can sort of drag and drop things. It makes it a lot easier, and then you can go from there. So yeah, no code tools like that. There are so many other no code tools out there, like Airtable and some other ones. Notion as well, I guess, could be considered a no code tool. But yeah, businesses are looking for people to have knowledge in these tools that can help their businesses. Okay, so now that you have cash flow, hopefully from your job or from one of the side hustles that I mentioned, maybe you have business or something, hopefully you have money left over after your bills and after your emergency fund. Now it's a good time to invest that money into assets. Instead of letting your money sit in a low interest savings account where you're most likely going to actually lose those savings in sort of inflation anyway, there are, I think, 2 ways to make money during the recession. 2 ways. Like, it really is so simple. I mean, I say simple. A lot of people think, you know, they're looking for like the quick way or some crazy way, some sort of hidden way to make money during the recession. There are just 2 very simple ways to make money through the recession, which I wanted to cover. Number 1 is investing in stocks and shares. So this sits at number 1 for me, at the top of my priority list when it comes to making money during the recession. Mainly because stocks and shares right now, well, over the last year, haven't performed well. They have dropped in value, they've dropped in price. You know, some stocks and shares I personally think are undervalued. I think they're going to go up in price. And me being personally invested in tech and sort of future tech, my portfolio does skew heavily into tech companies. So I'll be using my cash savings that I have and plowing as much of it as I can into these types of stocks and shares, ones which I think are undervalued or ones which I think are just going to go up in value. I'm no day trader though. I'm not the type of person that looks at graphs and tries to see or sort of predict and sort of make money in the same day. No. Like, I don't do day trading. I honestly have no idea how day trading works. It's just not my jam, mainly because I'm focused on my current things that I do. I'm focused on making money rather than trying to make a quick profit with stocks and shares. Nothing wrong with day trading. Some people do make money, but I personally think for most people, day trading just doesn't make sense. I like to invest in stocks and shares and see the long term. So I'll buy a share thinking, will this company be relevant in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? That's how I like to see it. And usually I like to invest in companies that I would personally use myself. So I feel like Apple's a good one, right? I feel like, I don't know a single person who doesn't invest in Apple really, but I use Apple products. I have a watch, I have a phone, I have a MacBook. I clearly trust their products and I know they're going to continue making good products. So I would invest in Apple. That's just one company, but that's the way I like to invest in stuff that I'm familiar with, especially tech companies, because I'm just so into tech. However, if you're not very familiar with anything like that, S&P 500, just simple sort of like all-round stocks and shares are a good way to make money. Even Warren Buffett also says, like, you know, if you don't know anything about the stock market, if you don't know anything about companies and stuff, you don't have time to research businesses and whatever else, just invest in the S&P 500. It's just the easiest way. Most trading platforms also have stop loss functionality. Now, what stop loss is, for those people who don't know, is that you can have the share sell automatically once it hits a certain price. So for example, I bought a ton of Tesla stocks back in 2018 and 2019. Then in 2021, Tesla stock obviously shot up. It was the highest it's ever been. I set an automatic stop loss once it sort of got quite high. So when it started to fall and then it hits that price that I set for the stop loss, it automatically sold all of my shares. And that's how I ended up making quite a good chunk of money on Tesla. Tesla has definitely been one of my best performers. So has Apple as well, to be honest. And yeah, it was just crazy. There is luck involved, of course. Like Tesla at the time was seen as a risky stock. People weren't really sure which way Tesla was going. The company was struggling to meet demand for cars and people were complaining about cars. But because I had bought a Tesla myself, I had believed in the company. I thought, look, if I'm willing to buy a car from the company, then I should be willing to invest in the company as well. And that's exactly what I did. And it paid off. Just a bit of luck. But that's the whole point, right? You keep sort of trying those little bits of luck, trying those sometimes risky bets and just seeing if it pays off. A lot of the time it's not going to pay off. But hopefully if you have a diversified portfolio, you're going to come out winning anyway. Number 2 is property. Now this, to be honest, isn't something that's really high up my list, but I am sort of reconsidering it. Other than the property that I'm currently living in, I've not really bothered buying any other properties. And it's mainly due to things like high taxes, legal fees, and the sort of ongoing maintenance required to own properties and run properties. It's just been easier and a lot lower maintenance for me to buy stocks and shares. It's why I've sort of primarily focused on that. However, like I said, it's something I'm reconsidering, mainly to diversify my own portfolio and because house prices have been dropping. If you have the capital available, now could be a really good time to purchase another property. But there is one downside, which I'm sure most people are aware of, especially people who are just interested in economics and finance and stuff. And that is the rising interest rates. Now, interest rates have sort of leveled off a little bit, but they're still quite high, right? They're not as low as 1-2% that they were a year ago, 2 years ago. And because of that, mortgage payments are obviously a lot higher for the same property that you could have maybe bought 1 or 2 years ago. Sure, you could align the rent costs to cover the mortgage costs, but then obviously you're not making any profit on the rent. And then you're relying on the property value to go up. And who knows how long the sort of property values will stay as they are. Hopefully it's not too long, probably a year or two, like it was in the recession of 2008 and 2009, because historically house prices have just continued to rise like crazy. And I think they are going to continue to rise. I think that's just the way it's going to be. Will they rise as quickly? I don't know. During the 2008 and 2009 recession, properties did go down in value and a lot of people thought they wouldn't go back up. A lot of people thought that's it, property values are just going to stay level. And clearly that wasn't the case, because since then property values just shot up in value again. Like they just went so far up and they just continue to keep going up. And I just think that's exactly what's going to happen again. So if you're able to ride it out for a few years, if you do buy a property now whilst property prices are going down, yeah, I think, in 5 to 10 years or 15 years, you can end up making quite a good chunk of profit just from the property values going up. I also feel like the property market has just too much money in it for it to totally collapse. Now, of course, there are going to be some dips like there is now, but there's just too many wealthy people that have so much of their money tied up in property. They're going to do everything they possibly can to make sure that their assets don't decrease in value. At the end of the day, these people are going to spend money on making sure that different laws, different rules get set in place, because they want their assets, they want their properties, they want their real estate, they want their land to continue going up in value. So yeah, those are the two ways which I think you can make money during the recession. They're pretty simple, to be honest. I don't think you need to overthink it, but I honestly think the most important thing is just to ride it out. When everyone is panicking, you've got to be calm, you've got to be thinking ahead. A lot of people, unfortunately, do just live well above their means. They'll buy things they don't really need. They'll buy things that don't really add value to their life. And some people will even get into credit card debt just to keep up their life that they currently have. This is very short-term thinking, and a lot of people obviously just struggle to control their impulses. But being able to see the bigger picture, being able to think longer term and sticking to it, you probably won't even notice that there is a recession. And if that happens, that's when you know you're winning. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.